So it's raining still after 1 year, still lots of dark clouds over humanity, more than ever for many of us. I'm sure everybody that's watching was or is affected somehow from the situation that we had in the world and we still have during about 1 year now. So yeah, right now it looks pretty grey here. Yeah, what do we do about this? So it's cold too. So situation update from Hitchhiking Around the World project. After I don't know how many years now that I'm attempting to hitchhike around the globe, I still don't intend to give up, and I still want to push through this adventure that has become so much bigger and so much more complicated than I could ever have imagined. But that was part of the adventure, to have an adventure that you don't know what it's gonna bring. That's a true adventure to me, and an adventure that also sometimes it doesn't feel to like an adventure. To me is something that in the moment that you're in it, you don't want to be in it. It's really a situation that is unpleasant, that is scary, that is overwhelming, that is crazy, you know. Nowadays I think that word of adventure, it's very overused, and like let's go ziplining, you know, and oh, it's a great adventure, you know. I think that's not really what adventure should mean. I think adventure is always kind of a journey into the unknown with a lot of risk and things like that. And yeah, so what's the situation now? It's already February and I planned to cross the Atlantic this season, and I'm still planning to do that. And I was looking for boats a lot in the fall of last year, and then I found this boat from the Australian guy Ian, and we planned originally to cross the Atlantic in November or December, something around that. So now we have a huge delay of like 1, 2, 3 months. So it's crazy. Like I thought I will stay here in Lisbon for maybe 1 or 2 months, you know, and then I'm gonna sail away and Erica's gonna join me later again. But now I'm still here in February and it was an amazing time here. I cannot complain. It was kind of like being stuck in paradise in a way, and I'm really grateful for all these beautiful days here with Erica and her lovely grandmother and so many nice people here that, yeah, I can only say I was really grateful each time that the lockdowns came. The first lockdown I could spend in the Azores with beautiful people around me, with beautiful nature around me, good air, and being very far away from all the craziness and the madness of the world. And now here in Lisbon, it's like a little bit of a metropolitan area, so the lockdowns are more strict and more, yeah, you cannot just walk to the nature here. You're in the middle of the city. You have nowhere to go if you're like a nature craving person like I am. And yeah, really I have to say it was kind of like 2 times when the lockdowns hit on my journey. I was both times stranded in paradise, and I can be very lucky for that. But still, kind of with all this luck that I had, still I could feel that it was influencing me on a psychological level, on a physical level, and yeah, it was sometimes difficult to keep your peace of mind, to keep your inner peace, to stay sane and to stay motivated and to stay extremely happy and yeah, positive about life. Because I think a lockdown, I don't know if the lockdowns are the right way to go for us in the future as a planet, as a humanity, you know, because the side effects of lockdowns, we're just only starting to understand their consequences now. And I think in the world that we're living in right now, if we stay in lockdowns for much longer, and if we don't have other ideas or measures or strategies on how to defend ourselves from future pandemics and diseases, if lockdowns are just our only measure, which it seems like right now the politicians, they seem like having no other ideas except making lockdowns and making up rules that sometimes seem to be pretty like, what could we do? Okay, let's do this rule. Like, for example, here now in Portugal, there's this lockdown rule which says you cannot sell clothing and similar like that, socks and pillows and blankets, you know, which makes sense, you know, in a way. Like, okay, people would try on the clothing and hang it back, and then it might be contaminated, or I don't know. But then, like me and Erica, we wanted to buy new pillows because our old pillows, they started to hurt our back, and they're really very old pillows that are really in a bad condition. So we tried to get 2 new pillows, but every store around here, you cannot buy a pillow. It's forbidden to buy a pillow. Okay, it's forbidden to buy a pillow now. Okay, yeah, so, or like, there was a rule that the stores on the weekends, they were only open until 1 o'clock in the morning, in the midday. And then what happened was that everybody went to the store before 1 o'clock, and the stores were crazy crowded in that, before that time, you know, because everybody needed groceries. So many of the rules that we get confronted with right now, they seem to be a little bit, I don't know, uncreative or uninnovative, or just a little bit unproportionate or stupid, also in another description. So yeah, I cannot agree fully with lockdowns, and there are other countries that also managed to survive with not so strict lockdowns or just more voluntary rules. So maybe we have to study that in the future and see where we can go with that, because I think strict lockdowns, I mean, first of all, they have a very big health and mental health impact. If you scare people so much that they cannot even go for a small walk to get some sunshine, especially in the winter time in Europe, you get an really big deficit. You get a really big deficit of vitamin D6, which is this vitamin that you can only get from the sunshine on your skin. And fresh air, all these things, they're so important for our immune system and for our health. And just being outside, being in the forest, maybe there are some things that happen there that we don't understand yet, but definitely if nature and outside time is missing, I think it's quite obvious that if we just stay in our house, and if we, you know, also stay inside, we have less movement. That is not good for the body. We already, under normal conditions, have not enough movement, like the average person at least. So I really wonder why the news are not spreading a lot of messages on how to increase your immune system now, on how to do meditation, how to try to keep thinking positive and thinking that we will get through this and that we're not all gonna die. But everything that you see in the news is just fear, and it's just scaring the people, and it just doesn't seem right. And everything that seems to be necessary in this world right now, which is a lot of peace, a lot of health advices on natural ways how to get your health up, how to get your immune system strong, which in reality only our immune system is helping us to survive. There's the pills that we take, they do a very small portion of what our immune system is already doing every day. And we should really worship this immune system, this amazing system that we have. But as we watch the news these days, it doesn't get mentioned at all, or if it does get mentioned, it's a very subcategorized topic that doesn't get a lot of attention. The most important thing these days seem to be the numbers and the corona tests, which a positive test is a case. That's how they count nowadays, which is not correct, because a positive test doesn't mean that a person is actually infected by this disease. It just means that there's a virus inside of that person, but the virus first needs to spread and infect the whole body and have a substantial amount before that person can be considered infected. So yeah, let's not get into the details, but it's just a weird time to be alive, and really a test for each of us to see how strong we are mentally and how strong we are physically, and also to kind of test our view of the world. And maybe we have to all open our minds a little bit to all the other sides, because right now our society gets divided so much into different entities that almost fight each other with like ideological aspects, or like it's almost like a religion now, you know, where religions fight each other, or ideologies like fascism against communism, and it's just terrible. And I think so often the truth is kind of somewhere in the middle and not on either side. That's when I look in the world, I see so many times the truth being somewhere in the middle. So I'm really trying to go the middle way here, but it's getting increasingly difficult. And I'm in an incredibly luxurious position here, because I'm doing this project, which to me it means a lot, and maybe to some of you too. And I don't want to quit it. I don't want to quit it right now. I want to keep fighting for it. And yeah, so I thought a lot about this, you know, how will I continue if this pandemic should last for another year or 2 years or 3 years? We don't know yet. That's another problem, that we never can plan anything. We never have an outlook into the future. Okay, when will the lockdown end? No, it's always getting extended in 2 weeks' time, always in 2 weeks' time. And then that's the problem right now. For example, with the boat. Ian is right now stuck in Porto, and the lockdown keeps getting extended, and the harbor doesn't allow him to go outside of the harbor, but he needs to go because he needs to cross the Atlantic to get back home to Australia. And the Atlantic crossing is only possible for like 1 or 2 months more, not more, because then the hurricane season starts in the Caribbean, and not ideal at all. And his Schengen visa is running out, so he needs to go, but the harbor doesn't allow him to go outside. So now we're trying to get permission, official travel permission, so that Ian can come south to Lisbon, and then here in Lisbon I and Erica can join him on the boat. And that's the great news about this delay, because now that we have such a delay, Erica finished her job here in Lisbon, and now we can sail together across the Atlantic, if it should be possible. And I'm really excited about sailing now. This feeling of freedom that you get on the ocean, it was already before Corona extreme, and now with the lockdowns and feeling so locked in here in ways, I still feel free, but in a way you feel the physical freedom is missing. And I think then if you must be sailing away from the continent and onto some Caribbean islands, that must be the feeling of the purest freedom that I've probably ever encountered in my life. So I cannot wait for that. And now I'm really starting to freeze here. And so the plan is, and that's the kind of the path in the middle that I would like to go, is sailing, because Ian wants to sail all the way back to Australia with that boat, to the Caribbean, through the Panama Channel, to Polynesia, French Polynesia, to Fiji, and then back to Australia. Right now it's not so easy with the visas, but on a sailboat many times you can get through somehow. And it would be the absolute dream to go to the Caribbean, to go to Panama, to go to French Polynesia in this time where you cannot really travel and everything is so restricted and difficult. And on a sailboat it would be perfect, and you would be isolated and away from humanity and away from all the trouble and the madness. And you could just be on your small island, letting the world unfold as it does, and just take a step back away from it. And yeah, and that would probably take months, you know, that would take at least 4 to 6 months to reach Australia on the other side of the world, you know. So this time would be incredibly good right now, because I don't see hitchhiking right now. I don't see it. I think many people would not like to see me hitchhiking right now. I also don't feel comfortable hitchhiking right now. Maybe on a small island in the Caribbean where there's almost no corona, and then with a mask and with a lot of disinfection and, you know, not giving the hands to the drivers. Maybe then hitchhiking is similar than a normal person riding the train to work. You know, maybe then you could do it, but just constant hitchhiking like I did it over continents like Europe, I think right now it's not a good idea. So that's why this boat is so precious to me, that I really want to sail with that boat, and I want to show Erica sailing. She never sailed before, she has no experience right now, so it's gonna be really cool to see how she handles it, and how she learns, and how she gets to know herself, and how she also can experience that digital detox that we all so desperately need. So yeah, right now, a few days ago, we got a spare part of the boat from Ian that we managed to find in Germany, and for Ian not to be stuck there because of waiting on a package, we sent that package to here. So I received that spare part, and now all the hopes are up, and we're really confident that we can make it happen, and that Ian can get a permission to sail to Lisbon here to, yeah, for us to join and to bring the spare part, and then fixing up the boat, loading up the sailboat with 2 months worth of food, chocolate, coffee, and maybe some sushi rolls, so we can make sushi on the way. Yeah, so that's the plan right now. The sailboat, all our hopes are still on the sailboat. I'm pretty good faith that it will happen like we planned it to happen, but I think on this sailboat trip we will have so many problems and challenges in terms of restrictions and visa and travel. So we will see how that goes, and I will just wait here until the rain stops and I can see a rainbow. And yeah, see you when that rainbow comes. So until next time. Thank you so much for your precious time and enjoying this adventure with me. If you can't wait to see how this journey will continue, you can get instant early access to the next episode on my Patreon page. This project is only possible through your support on Patreon. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.